attacked his classmates. He attacked his friends. It was horrific. We might not ever know why he did what he did.
High school rampage stuns a Pennsylvania community.
Alex Rebel was charged as an adult with 4 counts of attempted criminal homicide, 21 counts of assault.
I don't know what I got going on down at school here, but I need some units here ASAP.
There are a number of heroes. Many of them are students, and I want you to write them.
Searchers have detected an underwater signal in the Indian Ocean. The area where searchers are looking today is the smallest since the jet disappeared.
A manhunt is on in Florida for a driver who caused another car to smash into a daycare. One child was killed.
If the person out there did this, is watching this, please turn yourself in. It's not worth it because we will find you today, and I promise it.
An Inspector General's report will say the Russian government failed to turn over evidence about Tamerlan Tsarnaev before the Boston Marathon bombing.
Neither was ever scared of being my lady.
The Oscar Pistorius murder trial of the prosecutor grilling the Blade Runner.
You just don't take responsibility for anything. You just don't do anything wrong.
An incredible video of a shootout inside a Philadelphia motel. 2 men taking direct aim at one another. No one was hurt.
The city in California voted to give Sriracha Hot Sauce Factory 90 days to stop the spicy odors from fuming from the building.
All that?
In case you're ever tempted to park in front of a fire hydrant, just take a look at these photos from Boston last night.
Hi, this is Lindsay Lohan's secretary.
Who is this?
It's Dave, Oprah, it's Dave.
Oh, my God.
And all that matters.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of being a governor in your daily life?
On CBS This Morning.
Can I just tell you a CBS secret? He wears them every day.
and what you don't know is they're really pantyhose.
This morning's eye-opener is presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome to CBS This Morning. Good morning, Norm.
Hey, good morning to you, Charlie.
We begin with this. Witnesses say the attacker did not say anything as he ran through a Pennsylvania high school, slashing fellow students with 2 knives. Yesterday's attack left 21 students and a security guard injured.
Other students and teachers rushed to help, and they are being hailed as heroes. Franklin Regional High School is closed this morning. Vanita Nair is at the scene in Murraysville, Pennsylvania, outside Pittsburgh. Vanita, good morning. Good morning to you. Yes, it is closed this morning. A very active investigation going on behind me. Of the 21 students who were injured, at least 3 remain hospitalized this morning. Authorities tell us it could have been a lot worse, if not for one wounded student who pulled a fire alarm in the midst of the attacker's spree.
Shackled and dressed in a hospital gown, 16-year-old Alex Rebel was charged as an adult Wednesday. 4 counts of attempted homicide and 21 counts of aggravated assault.
He attacked his classmates. He attacked his friends. We're going to have to interview other friends and neighbors and relatives to find out exactly what went on.
Police searched his home and confiscated a computer, looking for a motive in the vicious attack.
My one friend got cut across the face. My brother's friend, he got stabbed in the back.
It all happened before classes had even begun in the crowded halls of Franklin Regional High School.
There was this kid laying down, and he was holding his side, and there was a teacher on top of him screaming, "Help."
There is a victim down in room 115.
If my best friend wouldn't have stepped in front of me, I probably would have been injured. I probably would have been the one that was stabbed.
Witnesses say the teenage attacker had a knife in each hand and a blank expression as he slashed at anyone in his way.
He was just completely silent, said not a word.
We've got multiple victims here. We need ambulances here as soon as possible.
Even before emergency crews arrived, students and faculty managed to tackle the suspect.
I was right behind him, and we both jumped on him and immobilized him.
We had students helping other students that were laying there bleeding. We had faculty members attacking the individual, getting him down on the ground. It was a situation where the good overpowered the evil.
The community gathered last night to pray for the wounded as well as the accused attacker, who classmates are describing as a loner.
He just kept to himself and was more quiet, just didn't really care about what other people did.
They're actually saying he might not even had a cell phone. So there might not be anything that we can find from those type of things. We might not ever know why he did what he did.
Ribel's defense attorney is requesting a psychiatric evaluation, arguing that his client may not even be aware of what he did. The defense attorney, on the other hand, is suggesting that Ribel made comments suggesting he wanted to die shortly after he was taken into custody. Nora? All right, Benita, thank you. A massive manhunt is underway this morning in Florida for the driver in a hit-and-run crash at a daycare center outside Orlando. One child died and several others were seriously injured. Nicole Pasecki of our Orlando affiliate, WKMG, is at the scene in Winter Park, Florida.
Nora and Charlie, it was a horrific scene behind me here yesterday at the KinderCare Daycare Learning Center. Dozens of emergency personnel responded to this tragedy, and law enforcement are still searching for the suspect responsible. Florida authorities are hunting for Robert Curchado, an ex-convict in his mid-20s. An arrest warrant has been issued for his involvement in yesterday's car crash at an Orlando area daycare that killed one girl and injured 14 others, 11 of them children.
If the person out there did this, is watching this, please turn yourself in. It's not worth it because we will find you today, and I promise that.
Officials say this black Toyota Solara convertible went out of control Wednesday afternoon after it was struck in the rear by a silver Dodge Durango SUV. The Toyota jumped the curb and smashed through a wall at the daycare, pinning a little girl and injuring many others. The driver of the SUV then fled the tragic scene.
The ones that I did see, seen blood coming out of their mouths, like their mouths had hit something or whatever, and they were bleeding out of their mouths, and there was other ones that weren't moving at all.
2 hours later, law enforcement found the Dodge SUV abandoned at a home in a nearby suburb. Florida Highway Patrol says the suspect then rented a black Mazda SUV and was reportedly spotted at Orlando International Airport.
We do know that he is trying to flee the area. We've had information that he might be trying to flee out of the airport area right now.
At the daycare center, family members scrambled to find their children, some of them wheeled out on stretchers by emergency responders. Many of the children are listed in serious and critical condition.
It was tough. There's a lot of not knowing, a lot of sadness. You know, always tough when involved.
A total of 8 children were taken to a local children's hospital with a wide variety of different injuries. We do know that one child is now in serious condition. Nora and Charles.
Nicole, thanks. The cruise from Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 picked up another possible underwater signal. It was detected in the same area or the signal that may have come from the plane's data recorders. Those possible pings are helping ships and planes narrow their focus. Seth Doan is monitoring the search from Beijing. Seth, good morning.
Good morning to you, Charlie. Yes, that's right. Authorities have been hoping to detect additional signals in an effort to narrow that search zone. Today, up to 14 aircraft have been scouring for debris, and some have been dropping buoys by parachute, similar to these demonstrated by an Australian engineering company. The buoys dangle hydrophones into the water to listen for pings. An Australian plane conducting an acoustic search today detected a possible signal with the potential of being from a man-made source. The best leads so far, say investigators, are these simple pulsing sounds coming from the deep. These pings match the frequency emitted by flight data recorders. So far, 4 signals have been detected by that Towed Pinger Locator, or TPL, which is owned by the U.S. Navy and being dragged through the water by the Ocean Shield.
The goal is to maximize the use of the TPL to get any sort of detection we can while there's still the potential for the black box batteries to have life.
The Bluefin 21 is the underwater vehicle equipped with side-scanning.
Bluefin 21 actually paints a picture of the ocean floor. It is a much more deliberate and planned out and methodical operation. You may go a whole day and search maybe 1 square mile.
The search zone has been narrowed. Today, it's the smallest to date, just over 22,000 square miles. That's still about the size of West Virginia. Today, Australia's Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, traveled to China. Abbott is here for an economic forum. but he briefed Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on developments in the search for Flight 370. China's state media reported that Premier Li thanked the Australian Prime Minister for all of Australia's work during this search. Nora?
All right, Seth, thank you. In South Africa this morning, prosecutors grilled Olympic sprinter Oscar Pistorius about his relationship with the girlfriend that he shot to death. A harsh cross-examination yesterday brought some of the most dramatic moments in that murder trial. Pistorius repeatedly broke down on the stand. Correspondent and CBS News contributor Deborah Pata is in Pretoria, where the questioning is not letting up. Deborah, good morning.
Good morning. Well, Chief Prosecutor Harry Nell's strategy today was to show that Oscar Pistorius is selfish and egotistical. A few days ago, Pistorius made a tearful apology to Reva Steenkamp's mother, June. Today, Harry Nell accused him of doing it as a public spectacle, simply for the world to see.
You couldn't face them, because facing them in private would mean that you have to take responsibility, and you don't want to.
My lady, I would love to have the opportunity one day to meet Reva's parents. I never got that opportunity before. I don't think that they would ever want to meet me. I completely understand where they're coming from. It's not that I thought...
The prosecution also quizzed him about his relationship with Steenkamp. He said it was loving and caring, that he never got the opportunity to tell her that he loved her. But the prosecution wanted to know why she sent him a text message saying she was scared of him and that he threw tantrums.
I'm scared of you sometimes. Why would she be scared of you?
I think she's scared of the feelings that she has for me and the way that I brushed her off.
If there was one theme that summed up today's cross-examination, it was Pistorius' persistent refusal to accept responsibility for his actions. Asked directly why he fired a loaded gun in a restaurant, he said the gun was in his hand, but his finger wasn't on the trigger, and he doesn't know how that shot went off. Charlie.
Deborah, you hear Pistorius being questioned, grilled by the prosecutor, and yet Pistorius keeps addressing the judge, saying, "Milady." Why is that?
Well, the word milady for a female judge or milord for a male judge really sums up South Africa's legal system. It's an old legal formality that has survived because there is no jury system in this country. All the witnesses and the accused address themselves via the judge, the one person Oscar Pistorius has to convince of his innocence.
Deborah, thanks. A new government report says Russia refused to give the FBI crucial information about a Boston Marathon bombing suspect. That's according to the New York Times. The Bureau first learned about Tamerlan Tsarnaev in 2011, 2 years before the bombing. But the Russians never revealed at the time that Tsarnaev talked about jihad with his family. CBS News national security analyst Juan Jarate is in Washington. Juan, good morning.
Good morning.
So what else didn't the Russians tell the United States that might have made a difference?
Well, Charlie, the Russians apparently did not respond to FBI inquiries about the older Tsarnaev brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, and in particular what you mentioned was a conversation that he apparently had with his mother that discussed Islamic jihad. That certainly would have added texture to the suspicion and concerns that the FBI would have had about the brothers.
Juan, do you think it would have changed anything? Because the FBI did know about these brothers and had done a number of interviews.
That's a great question, Nora, because the FBI did talk to the older brother. They did investigate him. They certainly did their due diligence in terms of the information they had. Whether or not this would have allowed them further evidence to allow for deeper surveillance, for example, wiretap, or to allow them to investigate for a longer period of time, which would have given them insights into his travel or into his plotting, that's uncertain. But I think this certainly would have added texture to what the FBI knew, and certainly you've heard the FBI worried about the fact that they did not get this information from the Russians.
All right, Juan Zarate, thank you. And the House Oversight Committee today is expected to hold a retired IRS official in contempt of Congress. Republicans say Lois Lerner led an effort to investigate Tea Party organizations. She's refused to testify at 2 committee hearings, claiming her Fifth Amendment rights. Jan Crawford is in Washington, where another panel is also taking aim at Lerner. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning. And Lerner really has been refusing for the past year to answer those questions from Congress about the scandal. And yesterday, we saw this House committee really ratchet up the stakes. It voted along straight party lines to ask the Justice Department to consider criminal charges against Lerner for allegedly directing the IRS to target conservative groups. In a letter to the Justice Department, Chairman Dave Camp said the committee had information that Lerner allegedly engaged in willful misconduct and potentially violated multiple federal criminal statutes. Now, the Justice Department said in a statement that it's already investigating the IRS's handling of these tax-exempt groups and that it, quote, remains a high priority of the department. Democrats, of course, are saying that the Republicans on the committee are just playing politics. But adding fuel to the fire here, I mean, this is not all. Yesterday, ethics investigators also reporting that IRS employees at several different offices were actively supporting President Obama while they were on the job, including one employee, they reported, who was urging people that were calling into this taxpayer helpline to vote for the president. Nora?
All right, Jan, thank you. And President Obama is in Texas this morning to attend a civil rights summit. He spoke yesterday at Fort Hood, Texas, at a ceremony honoring 3 sergeants shot to death by a fellow soldier. The gunman who committed suicide was being treated for depression and anxiety. The president met with victims' relatives and promised to do more for veterans with mental illness.
Today, 4 American soldiers are gone. 4 Army families are devastated. As Commander-in-Chief, I'm determined that we will continue to step up our efforts to reach our troops and veterans who are hurting, to deliver to them the care that they need, and to make sure we never stigmatize those who have the courage to seek help.
The president also mentioned the soldiers who died in a similar shooting at Fort Hood in 2009.
Time to show you some of this morning's headlines. The Los Angeles Times says Bank of America will refund customers $727 million for illegal credit card practices. It is part of a settlement with federal regulators. Parties say the bank deceived nearly 3 credit monitoring. The bank then charged for the services.
The Boston Globe looks at questions about the effectiveness of antiviral. Has spent more than $1 billion stockpiling Tamiflu and Relenza, but a review of the manufacturer's clinical trials finds the drugs did not reduce hospitalizations, serious complications, or deaths related to the flu.
UT San Diego says an outbreak of illness on the Crown is getting worse. The cruise line tells CBS that 117 are now. That's up from 83 yesterday. They have been isolated in their cabins. It is believed that they have norovirus. The ship returns to Los Angeles Saturday.
And the Albuquerque Journal looks at the crash of a medical helicopter. The chopper was taking off from the University of New Mexico Hospital. There were 3 crew members on board, but no patients. Witnesses say the helicopter wobbled as it began to lift off, then slammed back into the roof. Luckily, there were no serious injuries.
And according to the Las Vegas Sun, Nevada's governor says a federal cattle roundup has created an atmosphere of intimidation. The Bureau of Land Management is rounding up the cattle. A rancher and his family have protested and clashed with federal agents who block roads in the area. The rancher claims a long-standing right to graze his herd. The government says he should pay for that right.
All right, it is 7:19 and ahead on CBS this morning. Homecoming for the sailing family accused of taking a reckless trip. We'll have more on that, but first, time to check your local weather.